Ready to find out more about the small businesses and artists in your town? Small-Biz is where it is. Let's support our community by shopping small, keeping it local, and keeping things all fine and dangy.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the show. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. We are back in the studio recording this Sunday afternoon.
And it's nice. It's actually, this morning it was like 67 degrees outside here.
Yeah, and normally we would be on the back porch when it's that temperature recording. A little, little coffee on the back porch, getting the fresh air. But I think it's important that we're in studio today because we have some big announcements.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, and also, guys, we always forget to mention this, like during the show. I think we have a recording sometimes that comes after the show. But please give us a like and subscribe to our podcast. It really helps us gain more visibility so more small businesses can see what we have to offer and kind of see what we do here on the It's All Fine and Danjee podcast.
That's right. And although our primary audience is on the podcast, the audio version, we have been starting to put more effort into the YouTube videos, kind of as a passion project, just like the whole thing. But so we don't have a lot of traction there yet. Sometimes we'll get 100, sometimes we'll get 20, and we're just excited that people are watching them. But if we do get 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, we can start monetizing those videos to help us pay for some of the studio stuff and such that we use to promote small businesses. So if you think about it, most of the time people want to listen to audio podcasts, but if you want to jump over to our YouTube channel, we'll put links in the show notes. And if you like our videos, it helps us. But if you subscribe to the channel, it really helps us. So thank you for that.
And definitely keep an eye out because over the next few weeks, we are going to be making some changes. Some changes that will make that YouTube content a little more interesting and kind of more artsy to look at. So it won't just be us sitting here talking.
Yep.
It's going to be definitely more geared towards highlighting the small businesses that we go to. So we're excited to kind of transition, make another change. Angie needs change. So I like to say, hey, let's change things up to Dan. And he's like, dang it, man, we got like this process down. You were very on board.
Yeah, because you know what I think it is? I think I like to watch podcasts. I don't think the general audience watches most podcasts. So I notice like when it's just you and I'll do that again today, I intercut clips from places that we went.
It's much more interesting.
It is. And those get more views. And even though our guests have been great, I don't know if anyone wants to sit and watch.
Who wants to look at our faces like
back and
every
forth
week?
And back. So we'll still do some reels with the guests in the video and all that stuff. But we're thinking that for the most part now, we're going to kind of switch a bit and do a lot more, maybe less guests to start with and a lot more exploration of towns and businesses and maybe little snippets of interviews with guests, maybe even where they are and in their business and kind of jazz it up a little. So stay tuned for some of those changes. That'll be nice.
Excited for some of those changes. And we, there's some more ideas that we have revolving that, but it's kind of going to be a little project for us to figure out how it's going to fall, right?
Come together,
how the creativity is going to come together.
Yeah.
But if you can support that and give the YouTube channel a follow, that would be wonderful. And watch our journey on putting this together.
Yeah, that would be great.
Be fun.
Really appreciate that. Really appreciate all of you that have liked the videos, watched the videos even, and those of you that have subscribed. Also, I want to mention and remind all of you that we now do ads for small businesses. So we can either do video or just audio, whichever you prefer. If you give us a script, we'll do it. If you want us to write the script, we'll do it. We've already done them for a few small businesses here and in Florida, and everyone seems to really love them. Very affordably priced because we know that small businesses have a limited budget.
And marketing is so expensive anyway.
Yeah, and these are clips and ads that you could use on your own social media. We have options where you could put them in our show if you want an ad in our show. But please reach out to us for details. And the reason I don't just have standard pricing is I feel like it's different based on every business, on what you need us to do. And we'll work with you and your budget to make sure. In fact, I just got asked to do a video ad for a nursery back in Florida. So I'll be putting that together soon. But also I want to remind you that we build websites for small businesses. So we have several small businesses that we've built our own websites for.
I love how Dan says we.
Well, yeah, it's our brand.
I mean, I am building our Lynwood Lounge website though,
That's
and
true.
It is a lot of work. So,
it is, yeah.
So if you know somebody that kind of knows their way around a platform to build those or knows how to do it, let them do it for you.
Yeah. But I will say then, with the websites that I will build for you, that's another thing that I'd like to discuss first so I can make sure it's a manageable budget, find out exactly what you need. Do you need an online store? And then I have options at the end of the whole thing where you can take over and manage it yourself. It's very easy to do. I have clients that do that. I have other clients that are like, you do it, don't touch it. I don't want to do anything.
When they need something changed.
Yeah.
That's right. But I do love that you do that little training because then, they see, it's all set up. Oh, it's easy to go in and just do a little switcheroo here or there.
Right. And for some, and it's very much like a PowerPoint presentation, if you know what that is, a little old reference. But once I set it up for you, if you just want to go change a picture, update a thing, I'll show you how easy that is to do. Again, totally options. But I like it because especially for small businesses, it gives you the option to sort of take control after that. But I can get the whole thing set up for you to start with. So if you're interested, again, we'll put a link in the show notes for that. But just a reminder that we do offer ads and we do build websites for small business.
And we also do sponsorship. So if you are interested in a sponsorship, just reach out. We can talk one-on-one about that as well, what a sponsorship involves.
That's hard to say.
It is.
That's like me trying to say resveratrol.
That's something we always forget to mention, so I'm glad we put it in our notes to actually, kind of mention the other things that we do besides just. But we also have really something cool here in studio that we're going to start offering.
Yes, indeed we are. And so just this is sort of the big announcement. But
the big announcement.
As we're kind of restructuring a little bit and thinking we're going to do more of that run and gun style video for small businesses where we're out and about and we're kind of giving information about the businesses while you're watching footage of the town or the business or the inside of it or who knows what, just stuff in the area that is related to small business. We're going to have some freed up studio space. So we'll do some interviews in here still. We'll do some shows in here still, but we're going to soon be offering studio time rental. So if you always wanted to have a podcast, and we've had some guests on that are like, oh, I wish I could rent this space. Well, now you can. And I'm working out pricing for that as well. But we'll have several packages. One will be just audio, which is most of what we're going to offer to start. And then based on that, we may get into video, 3-camera video shoot at some point, but with the initial offering of audio, that will include me sitting in here, engineering the whole thing with, mixing it with with your intro music and your outro music and giving you a file at the end that is a complete podcast interview. But it's also a nice space to bring a guest in because and I'll put some shots in this clip right now to show you, if you're watching the YouTube channel here, what our studio looks like. But it's a nice setup. We got a nice table. We got 4 mics set up, and it's a really, semi-professional. It's a very
comfortable space, too, for, it's a very inviting space. Most people are like, oh my gosh, it's so nice in here. So, and Dan also can add on a little package where he can kind of get you set up on how to set a podcast up.
Indeed.
Because there are some, back-end things that you have to do in order to get that going.
Yes, and I'm happy to help with that too, but that would be a different thing we'll talk about as far as getting rolling. But just so you know, and again, some of you that I know watch and listen have said, how do I get this podcast started? I'd love to do my own thing. I'd love to rent your space. Well, now you can. And you never know. You may rent the space from us for a while, get a handful of episodes out. It might make you feel comfortable enough to get your own space set up, or maybe you just want to keep renting for us. And who knows what kind of business that could turn into. I kind of like the idea of helping people build podcast studios.
But I think this is a great option for people who have always they have an interesting topic or, whatever field they're in, they really want to get to a larger, broader audience. And it's a lot of money to get a podcast set up, though, if you want, high-end equipment and stuff like that. So... And if you want the sound quality to be really great, which is very important with podcasts, because if you ever listen to a podcast where the sound quality is not great, it's unlistenable. You got to turn the channel,
And we've had some friends that tried to get them started, and the content is so interesting. But if it's just noise in the background and you can barely hear and it's hard to.
But this is a great way to kind of try it out and see if you're willing to invest in that equipment in your own space. So it's a great little trial basis type thing.
And long term. I can give you input on, I thought about this too, because I am prepping to start a tech YouTube channel. I started it years ago. I'm kind of relaunching it more professionally this time. So I'm so
happy you're doing this because you have been talking about it for so long. And really, if any of you who have known Dan for a long time, know that he's always been into tech, right?
Yep.
I'm like, why did you start this 30 years ago? Like when you had all the gadgets, you know?
And I still have all the gadgets, but it's like, how about $10,000 ago when you had, all these devices that you bought all along the way, or more maybe, who knows? But I just mean all the, 10 years worth of gadgets. I'm sure it's probably more than 10,000, but yeah, I am starting that back up, and it will be more of my branding is going to be, it's more of a tech recommendation channel versus a tech review channel.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
I'm not going to go deep into the nerdy tech specs. I mean, I'll touch on that a little for those of you that are interested like me, but mostly it'll be, what should you buy this thing? And if you're debating which phone to buy or which iPad to buy or which camera to buy, who it's for, and how easy it is to use, and some of those some of the things really that friends and family have been asking me for years that will reach out, or colleagues, and say, I'm trying to figure out what drone to buy. And I like the process of the most value for the money. So if you the sky's the limit and you just want the best of the best, I'll tell you which one to get. But if you want to get the most value for your dollar, I can also tell you that's probably not the most high-end thing. So that'll be fun.
And he likes doing the research into which ones to get. So he's done all that work for you. Me, no, I'm not going to do that research. I'm just going to go, I like that one. I like the way that one looks.
Right.
And it may not serve the purpose I need it to serve.
But the tie back in on that is that about the podcast studio space. So one of the things I'll also offer, say that 3 times fast, is I will kind of tell you how, if you want to get your own podcast started on a budget, I can show you how you can do that with some inexpensive microphones and a laptop. And it sounds pretty good. You have to do a little bit of work after you've recorded to make it sound professional, and then kind of tier up to what I refer to as like the prosumer, which is what we have. Anyway, I'm excited to help out. So there'll be more to come on that.
Yeah, we've had a fun couple of weeks. We launched our Hot Wing Challenge.
Annual Hot Wing Challenge.
Chicken Wing Day, or Hot Wing Day, National Hot Wing Day. I always forget what it's called.
I did the same thing.
Is it Hot Wing Day? Is it Chicken Wing Day?
At the beginning of that episode, I did the same thing where I go, our National Hot Chicken, whatever we call it.
Fire sauce.
and look, full transparency, full disclosure, this last one that we did hasn't been as popular as the other two. Yeah. But what I love about it is, this is the first time we did it without a guest, because we had this idea that, because we're new here, we had a couple of guests that we were thinking about, bringing on that are local that I'm sure would have loved it. But we thought when we first launched the podcast, the very first episode was Angie and I asking each other questions. So you could kind of get to know the personalities you're going to listen to when they're interviewing small businesses or whatever. So since we're new here, we did the same thing again, came up with a handful of goofy questions for each other, had a hot wing, drank some beer, did the questions. And what I found from that is I feel like that would be a really cool game for couples in general. Yeah. Like if you just want to have a night in.
It was a great date night.
It really was.
And we even asked each other some questions that we didn't know the answers to for each other, really. I mean, most of them we did, but I think we were a little surprised. We're like, oh, really? That's okay.
I know. I love that.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you're interested.
And the hot sauces were amazing.
They were really good.
The local hot sauces that we tried here. Oh, my gosh. We have... I'm going to call out my favorite one is Biscuit Heads, the grilled jalapeno.
Oh, that is so good. It's one of my favorites, too.
We've, used it up.
Used it all?
Put it on everything.
We got to go. But
it's really great flavor, though.
I'd love to say, as I've been telling people about this one, that for those of you that have asked, and I'm like, none of them really blew our heads off. But when I went back and edited that, some of them are like a slow crawl. They're not the same as, we had one in Florida that was just like da bomb from... it was literally meant to burn your face off. Like that is the whole purpose of it. It's just a novelty item. Like and you take a little dropper and put it on there, So. It's fun to watch that though. It's fun to watch. That's the thing about hot ones I like, because when the nuclear bomb is coming, it's fun to watch people try to answer a question when they're just out of their mind.
Just sweating to death.
But we had a fun time, and just Angie and I, we kind of had local beers from local Asheville in the area breweries.
Yeah.
Small business hot sauces too. It was really fun. So if you're interested, that's a couple episodes ago. You can find that on our podcast and YouTube channel.
And if you have a local hot sauce and you're interested in for next year, definitely shoot us a message. Anywhere, social media, fineanddanjee@gmail.com. shoot us a message, give us a link to your, where we can find your product.
Yes.
And we'll start lining them up probably at beginning of January next year.
That'd be great, yeah. Because we usually do 8. I think actually we've done 6, 7, and now 8 sauces. So 8 is kind of the standard. I also would love to see this trend take off. Hot Ones, the YouTube channel started this. They are great. But I would love to see more little towns or little groups or people or maybe just parties of the National Chicken Wing Day Hot Sauce Challenge.
Yeah.
So really fun
that's a good
stuff.
thing to put out there. Really support the success of that show and support your local hot sauces.
Yeah, indeed. And, just have a fun date night. I mean, Angie and I have been together for 10 years, and it was one of those things where when we were done, we're like, that was really fun, just sitting in together. And so it's a nice
just focused on each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because a lot of times, we're focused. Really, when we were eating the hot wings, we were talking to each other.
Yeah.
So we weren't really talking to the camera much, even though everybody got to enjoy the show, of course. But we were really focused on each other.
Yeah, I love that. And I'll be honest with you, it's a 45, 50-minute podcast. It's a 3.5-hour night. So a lot of stuff chopped out of there, but that's how fun it was. It was really fun.
It was a long one. But then we took the dog the same weekend. I think we went and picked. It was start of apple season
at Granddad's Apples.
Yes. So we went and did that. It's always such a nice property to just go hang out at.
It's beautiful.
Just get a little cider and sit down or something.
Yeah, they have apples.
We could add a little whiskey to that cider. I think it'd be amazing.
Oh, flask. Hashtag
bring
flask.
Your flask. I don't think you're allowed to do that.
I don't either.
But, bring it home and do it.
But I will say just like you said, the corn maze isn't ready yet. The corn's still, actually, I think the corn's ready, but the tractor, they were working on getting that fixed so they could do the corn maze. But they do one every year, and it's really neat. If you see it from above, I've flown my drone over. It's like an apple with a maze in it.
I hope they, we are traveling this year in that month. So I'm hoping that they get it up and running so that we can go and do it.
Oh, that would be fun.
Before we head to Florida.
But then they have a playground for kids set up with these country type games.
Old-fashioned games, which the kids always love when they go to the corn mazes.
But the property, I mean, some of you have heard us talk about this before, but I'll throw some video up here for this too. But the property of Granddad's Apples is beautiful. There's a mountain range in the background. It's on top of a hill.
Prime location, man. They have the best. And they actually have an Airbnb on the property.
That's what I hear.
Anybody interested coming up to this area and staying on a beautiful property, I'm pretty sure it's probably booked out. But
well, maybe. I don't know.
But if you're planning a year ahead or so, it may not be.
Yeah, true. And we also picked apples. They only had a few trees to pick from to start. It's the beginning of the season, but we picked some apples, took them home. Some peaches that we got there too that were delicious.
Oh yeah, those white peaches that we got.
And their donuts are really good. I mean, their apple cider donuts. You had an apple turnover, I think. Yeah. Good stuff.
You got to get that apple-themed stuff when you go there. But then we took the dogs to Mills River to swim in the river there.
They also take Apple Pay at Granddad's Apples.
Whatever.
Roll credits.
So we took them to the Mills River for a swim.
Yeah, in the back of the dog park.
Yeah, near the little dog park area.
It's really cool. I know you've been there more than I have, but it's really neat what they've done there because they've cleared out a spot across the field so kids can put the inner tube in, go down the river, jump out on this one part, cut through that path in the field instead of having to walk all the way back.
These little kids were boogieing too. They were so excited when they had to run with their little tubes.
You got to get out of the way. They're hauling ass and they got tubes on each shoulder and you got to move out of the way.
What a nice little place for parents though to be able to. The kid's not so far. You could hear them if they screamed or something. If something's going on, and you could get to them pretty quickly. So kind of a nice little place for parents to take kids.
I agree.
And feel safe enough for them to have a little freedom and fun. Kids like to get away from their parents.
Families out there picnicking. It's free. It's a beautiful little section of the Mills River. But also you could take your dog. We let the dog. Now we have to keep them on a leash because the current's pretty strong there.
Yeah.
But it's it's a shallow spot. I'll take my shoes off and walk the dogs out into the river, and they love it so much. So that was really fun too.
And that is one of the things about just this general area that we're in. All these rivers, and you can just let your dogs swim in them. And that is the best thing for our dogs. They love it.
I know.
And little Mr. Oliver. Oh, we actually have the mascots here in the studio with us today, and they're sleeping and being good. So, but Mr. Oliver is starting to really love the water.
Yes.
He puts his whole face in the water like he's blowing bubbles, but not so much the pool in the backyard like Mackenzie loves.
He doesn't like flying water. That's his thing. If it's a hoses on, he's hiding.
Yeah, but the streams, he just runs around like he is so excited to be in those rivers.
He's so funny too because I know we gush over our dogs a lot, but he runs full speed. There's a wake behind him like a boat. It's really funny. Really funny. But then we haven't been to the movie theater in so long. And finally, we've gotten settled in and we found out where the movie theater is nearby. Put it this way. We moved up here in December and didn't even know exactly where the movie theater was. We had a general idea from the highway, but we went to Regal Cinema in the Biltmore Village, I think it's called.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I don't remember. But it's a nice little shopping center. It reminded me of some of the shopping centers back in Florida.
Like in Winter Park, where
a little more nice. Yeah,
the movie theater is down there. Yeah, it has like a P.F. Chang's. And I think it's got some local places too, but it's a lot more. A lot of the chains,
and we're all about small business. But let's be honest. Sometimes we support big business too. Everyone wants to go to P.F. Chang's or Outback sometimes. That's right. So it was neat to go there, and we saw Deadpool and Wolverine, which was a really fun movie.
Yeah, it was. It was a lot going on. But it was a typical Deadpool movie. Yeah. I mean, who's not cracking up most of the time?
You know what I found out?
There's too many jokes to even catch while you're in the theater.
You got to watch it again.
So you have to watch that one at home and really hone in and pause and then move to the next scene to capture it all. It's hilarious.
What I do like about it was a little bloated on the plot for my brain. So much going on and all the multiverse stuff these days in those comic book movies, a little hard for my aging brain, but really enjoyed it. And if you are not big into comic books and never were, you can just watch it on a visceral level, and it's really fun and interesting. If you're a comic book nerd, I was watching a YouTube video about this. There are so many little, what they call Easter eggs, little nods to other movies or comic books or shows that, they're loving that part of it too. So it's a very good movie. And, it's nice to go out and see a good movie. Like it would kind of have sucked if we waited all this time and then we went out and saw a movie and it was, the theater's really nice. I was very surprised that they were 100% out of chocolate. Like I need more chocolate. But I've never been to the movie theater in my life where you couldn't find a chocolate candy anywhere in there. You'd think a field trip just came through or something. It was really weird. That part was...
I know. And I'm like, you guys are out of chocolate? And he's like, yeah, is there any out there? I'm like, no, you have any in the back? No.
I mean, so lesson learned there is maybe hit your local small business candy shop first, stock up, wear some cargo pants. And
hey, you know what? That would be a brilliant business to actually have, like right near a theater.
Oh my gosh.
Would be like an old-fashioned candy shop where you can just buy like a scoop or
whatever.
They
probably shut that down for sure. But that'd be an interesting.
They'd be frisking people before they came in the movie theater.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting small business. Totally would be just movies to smuggle into or candy to smuggle into the movies. Oh, that'd be great.
The movie Candy Smuggler. Whatever. But we had a nice little, we got to go on a nice little mini vacation.
Yep, that's what I would call it. Yep.
Little mini vacation. I almost call it a staycation, but we did go to another state. We went to Smithville, Tennessee, and we went with our friends Craig and Daisy that live in Knoxville.
Yep.
And, they've actually been on the show before. Small business owner, Skin Tensional.
Oh, yeah, they have. That's
beauty.
Right.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So, we got to spend a nice little weekend on like a little lake cabin and did some fun stuff.
Yep, that's right. And we all hung out. It was really fun. We did 1 day of kayaking up to Burgess Falls, which is, I think, cool. Burgess Falls is also on Center Hill Lake, but you have to kind of drive over to the spot they launch. Angie and I brought our own kayaks, and of course the pups came with us. Mm-hmm. Really fun. The paddling up to the falls itself isn't quite...
Well, paddling up is never fun. Everybody knows this.
But it's worth it. If you're thinking about going to Burgess Falls and you want to see it from the bottom, because you can go from the top if you take the trails, but you can't get in the water at the bottom.
Yeah.
So it's a great payoff. So worth it.
So the ride up was cool because there was these trees that were like sticking up, like old dead trees,
like a forest in the water.
It was like... You kind of like get to do this fun little zigzag in through these trees. Yeah. It makes for some cool pictures. The water is very kind of flat and not moving a lot when you're going up because it's a wide river. And we found that wide rivers, a lot of the times, except for like French Broad, right?
The current.
The current isn't real strong.
Yeah. And it almost looked a little murky, but I think it may just be the bottom, or maybe there's a chemical thing. It's
I
like
think
a
I got
greenish
heavy
color.
rain.
Oh, is that what it is?
And maybe it kind of churned everything up.
Could have been.
That's what I'm thinking.
Well, once you get to the falls, the water seems a lot more clear, maybe because it's constantly moving. But I'm telling you, these falls are so intense that the wind coming off of the water. I've never seen waterfall that big, that close.
Yeah. Tips. Make sure that you're wearing a good like swim shoe that's got some grip on the bottom, or some type of sandals or something that you can really tread the rocks.
Otherwise, you might pull your back out.
You might pull your back out, or it's just hurt your feet. So something good on the feet is a must if you're going there, because you're going to get knocked around a little bit too when you're trying to swim through the water. I like hit my leg on a rock because it's very rocky. It's what I love about it too is it's very natural. Like there's a little path that you got to kind of go through, but nobody's maintaining it to make it super touristy friendly.
I love that too.
Say.
They kept
it natural. So
they didn't put like a we're used to like these wooden rails paths that go down. This is all rocks, and I didn't get down at the base of the waterfall, thank God, because I did pull my back out. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Craig did though.
Craig did. Yeah, we got some great footage of that. But being from Florida, those big rocks, when you get down to the water, my brain is like, when you get off all these rocks into the water, it's gonna be like a sandy bottom. Oh no, it's all rocks still. The whole bottom is still rocks. So
I did manage to go over, I didn't get up underneath the waterfall, but I was able to kind of get in the water and have all that just kind of spraying on you. It was really cool.
Really neat. You can
got
climb
the dogs in the water.
Yeah,
that was a challenge.
That was interesting too. But you can climb up and get behind the waterfall a little bit even. Really neat spot. Yeah. Really loved it. Yeah. And I every time I have ever pulled my back out, it's partially because I don't keep up with the PT they tell you to do. But, I'm looking in the bag for a camera thing, and I felt my back pinch. And to this very moment right now, I'm still hobbling around. I'll probably have another week before I'm fully recovered.
I think it's normally like 2 weeks for it to get completely just kind of healed up.
And I've been doing this since my 20s.
And if you're not like mowing the yard and crap like you've been doing.
Like I did yesterday. But yeah, it was, life must go on. But it was really fun. We also went to downtown Cookeville on a different day. Was that the same day? That was the same day.
It was the same day. So we got home because we were only there 3 nights. So you have to kind of pack it in. But we got back, kind of rested up a little bit, changed, and went right down to Cookeville, which is like a 25-minute drive from where we were at. But I will say, the food portion of the weekend did not disappoint.
Oh my gosh.
We had some really good food that weekend.
And I didn't know anything. Now, we all...
Eating at home and out and about, right?
We all prepped a meal. I think they did enchiladas the first night. They did burgers the second night. We did steaks the final night, so it was really fun. But downtown Cookeville, there's a place called Fire and Vine Pizza. Don't know if it's a small business. Don't know anything about them. I just know good. The excitement was all about this Chicago style deep dish, which I love. Chicago style deep dish. That's what they're famous for.
You got a good video to put up for that too.
Oh yeah, for sure. But so we ordered that, and like a couple people at the table had never had it. Like Craig had never had it, so we're like, oh, it's so good. It's almost like not pizza. It's almost like a different kind of food. And then Gene discovers something called the hot honey jalapeno pizza. It's like a New York style pizza, but it's got hot honey and fresh jalapeno slices on it. That stole the show.
I mean, even I'm not a huge pizza lover, and I was like, I'm just gonna try a bite of this. Oh my! I'm like, is anybody eating this piece?
Yeah.
And I had like a really good short rib bolognese.
Oh, that's right.
Pasta, and it was amazing. Like everything at the table, nothing disappointed anybody. The drinks were great. I mean, I had like 2 martinis, and that was.
Oh, but we didn't stop there.
We did not stop there.
We're
it
on
was
vacation.
A cool little, it was a cool little town.
Yeah.
There was a cool little brewery that we headed over to after.
Yeah, right across the street. Yep. It's called the Red Silo Brewing Company, right across the street. And one of the funny things is we walk in. I don't understand. Like, I know which kind of style beers I don't like, but when it's just a trendy name, like Crazy Kitten, and I'm like, I don't know what that is. Is that a Belgian? Is that a dark? What? So they're asking me, friends are up at the register and they're just yelling who wants what. And I'm like, well, do they have instead of doing like a porter this time, I'll do like a brown ale if they have like a brown ale. Well, they do, and it's called the Wild Corgi.
I know,
So we were like,
so
what are
funny.
the chances of that?
Well, the owners, we talked to the owners,
Yeah,
and they
they were there.
actually have 2 corgis, a male and a female.
Yep.
The same colors as ours.
Yeah.
Like the older one is the female,
Yep.
the younger one is the male. Same, a tricolored and a sable
Right.
color. So that was fun.
It was really
with
fun.
them a little bit,
And
but
they were out sitting at a table having some beers, but they were really nice. And they, we ended up, standing there talking to them for a while. Really, really cool place. Very fun.
Yeah.
We sat outside and we each had a couple more beers. And then we headed back for the night. But the next day, Craig rented a boat, which was really cool, like a pontoon boat.
Yeah, we rented a pontoon boat and we're able to just cruise around the lake. It's nice when you can. It's really nice when somebody else is driving and you can just be the passenger and just chill out. Thanks, Craig.
Yeah, that part was really fun.
We just floated on a little float in the middle of the lake. We went to another great place for lunch.
Yeah,
the
a little
marina place. Yep.
You guys got bit by piranhas a few times, if I recall. That's what stopped me from getting in the water.
Man. I mean, it's just the little like minnows that are like coming up and eating your dead flesh off your body, but it's still the weirdest thing when they're like in the middle of a lake and something's just like, nope, just take a little bit of this right
I
here.
know. Well, Raven, Daisy, and Craig's son, he's like, yeah, I'm going to get in. I'm weird about big open bodies of water, but I'm going to get in. So he gets in, and like 5 minutes later, he's climbing back. I'm like, I was getting ready to get in. He's like, yeah, there's fish biting on you. And I'm like, what? Okay, yeah, I'm not getting in. But it was a really pretty lake, It's like it's technically, I suppose, a lake, but if you look at it on a map, it's like one of these lakes that almost reminded me of is it called Norman? What's the lake in Tennessee that we went to with him?
Norris Lake.
Norris Lake. So it reminded
Yeah.
me of that because it's like it looks almost like just this chain of big wide rivers, but it's a lake, but it's just a bunch of fingers everywhere. So it's not big round lake like you would think. There's
Yeah.
like channels you can go in.
I'm pretty sure it's not a natural lake. It's a.
It might be dredged.
How do you call them? A quarry?
Yeah, well,
Quarry? I never can say the word right.
I don't know if it means quarry when they dredge them, but I know that when they dredge them, they like carve the whole thing out. But the embankment very much looked like it had been carved out. You could see the rocks
or
everywhere.
like scooped up rocks that were kind of like over to the side.
Yeah,
you know?
like you couldn't just pull up on shore. That's the other thing too. You couldn't just like with the dogs, we couldn't just say, hey, let's float over to shore because it's like a rock wall. So it was.
There was a nice looking campground though that sat right on
that's
it. Remember,
right.
and it did have a beach area.
That did. That's right.
And that area looked really nice. Like there was people tent camping like sitting right up on top of where you can overlook the lake.
Yeah.
So it looks like it would be a really nice camping area.
I think so too. Certain
Yeah.
times a year. I couldn't hack it right now, even in Tennessee, because it's just too warm.
It was a little humid out,
Yeah.
when we were there, but it was fun overall. I think one of the most entertaining things was, our 2 dogs coming into the house and they had Spear, which is
Yes.
a huge German Shepherd.
Huge,
Mackenzie
gigantic.
used to get along. Well, she's really only met him one time
Yeah.
when she was a puppy, but they got along very well. And now we're introducing Oliver. And so that was kind of interesting. And then Alex had her little cat there.
Church.
And they don't really love cats. So that was fun watching them.
fun
chase
fact,
them
too.
Around.
Church named from the cat at Pet Cemetery, which
Love
I think
it.
is fantastic. But
Yeah.
yeah, and the other thing too is, I almost posted this picture and put F around / find out, or find out. You know that saying, they say F around and find out, because Mackenzie would get really close to the cat and you could tell that cat, it's declawed, but it was on the verge of just jumping on her. And so, that's kind of the gist of what we've been up to, not visiting a lot of small businesses local other than, what we did at the beginning, but before we went on the trip, like Granddad's Apples and such.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've been very busy and we are preparing for our vacation / working vacation in October in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be fun. That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
And
I do want to mention one more thing. Just one more thing. I wanted to say, hey, if anybody in the North Carolina or anywhere, listening anywhere, if you're interested in doing a Florida vacation and you need a place to stay, message us at the Lynwood Lounge at gmail.com.
And she keeps telling you all these email addresses, but I'll just put a link in the show notes. You can just click it.
Be in here.
Yeah.
Just, giving you a little, But you can, if you send an email and just let us know that you heard about this through the podcast. We'll see if we can get you a little discount if you want to stay at our Airbnb in Florida.
Nice. And honestly, and you can check this too, the Lynwood Lounge, that's Lynwood. But we have been almost 100% at capacity for the past 3 months. So
yes.
2 of the months we were, one of the
great.
months is very close. We are also rated in the top 10% of all Airbnbs in the country. So it's a nice little place. It's not huge. It's not overly expensive, but it's super clean, super well maintained. Awesome location for the parks and for the rivers and all the restaurants and things.
The natural lazy rivers in Florida.
Yeah, really cool. And of course, I have teched it out with like 75-inch TV. We have over 200 movies available on all TVs. The list goes on. Yeah. But it's a neat place. That's where we're going to be staying actually when we're in October in Florida.
It's our house. We better stay there every once in a while.
That's right. That's right.
But I'm excited to go and spruce it up a little bit, do the yearly maintenance on it.
I'll be going into the office those days.
Dan will be gone when I'm taking care of those things. You guys, thank you so much for each and every week when you tune in. Definitely head over to that YouTube channel to start following so that you can see the changes that we're going to be doing to the show.
Yes,
we're
indeed.
super excited about making some of these changes.
Yes, indeed.
That's
Thank you so much for that. And we really, again, just really appreciate all of you so much. And as we grow further, if we get up to 1,000 subscribers anytime soon, again, we can start monetizing. So that's our goal. Please help us get there. And thank you so much for listening.
That's right, guys. And remember, at the end of each and every day,
it's all fine and dandy.
Hi, guys. We hope you enjoyed the show today. If you did, we would love a review. So make sure to head over to your Apple Podcast app or whatever app you listen to your podcast on and give us a 5-star review. Also, give us a like and a follow on our social media. You can find that all under Fine and Danjee. And if you want to find out more about our guest or about us, head over to fineanddanjee.com.